Ms. Brewington knows with a shadow of doubt that Mr. Lee is her son's biological father, and she will not be leaving this court until she gets the results she wants. Mr. Lee says this is a lie, and he says he will not pay a dime in child support. Here is how it starts out.
Mr. Lee, you say you've known from day one Giovanni was not your son, and you are here to prove Ms. Brewington is a liar and has been using you for money. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Brewington, you claim you are 100% certain that Mr. Lee...
Oh, it looks like Mr. Lee also has a lot to say. And when it comes to opening statements, it does not get better than what Ms. Brewington just did. She was confident, laid out all her points, and you kind of want to say that she is definitely the child's father. Here is Mr. Lee's response.
At the time that Gio was conceived, we were not having no type of intercourse. We were not cool at the moment.
You don't believe you were working on the relationship at the time Giovanni was conceived?
No, not at all.
You weren't together?
No, not at all.
Your Honor, I was living with him. We were living in the same household, in the same bed.
Now, that sounds like a very technically correct answer. What does he mean by at the time of conceivement? So, did they start sleeping together after the child was conceived? And if he knew the baby wasn't his, why would he do that? Let us find out more.
Your Honor, I conceived my son in February. My birthday is February 1st.
All right.
And from the 1st until about Valentine's Day, we were in there.
Take me back to,
Not at all, not at all.
Take me back to the day you found out you were pregnant.
Okay, I found out that I was pregnant. I actually went to the doctor to just re-up on my birth control.
A love baby? As opposed to other types of babies, who are hate babies? Anyway, Ms. Brewington sounds really convincing. Her facts are adding up, Mr. Lee seems lost, and it seems the DNA test result will just be a formality at this point. Here is what Mr. Lee thinks.
How she said her
He doesn't
birthday
wanna
is the
pay child
2nd of
support, Your Honor.
February.
It's not.
Her birthday's on the 2nd of February.
My birthday's on the 1st of February.
2nd.
My birthday is on the, how you gonna tell me what day I was
second.
born? I was born on the 1st of
He
February.
said it's the second.
Yeah, look, it's close. It's the same.
He around there just like he was around. Exactly, see, exactly.
Will you let this man speak? You know what? It looks like Ms. Brewington is kinda doing too much. Way too much. She isn't allowing him speak at all, and Mr. Lee may not be saying a lot, but he is speaking really confidently and does not sound flustered. At this point, it is difficult to know who is saying the truth. Let us see what else is going on.
As you prepare for the birth of Giovanni, was Mr. Lee present?
No, he was telling people I was just getting fat. He was like, she just eats a lot of fast food. Everybody was rubbing, my friends were rubbing my stomach. I'm showing ultrasounds to people. He's like, don't believe her, she's just fat. The entire time. I'm talking about, I'm going into labor. He's like, no, you're not.
Ah, dude, you never do that. If you have even a shadow of a doubt, you delay signing that certificate till you find out if the baby is yours. If the baby turns out to be yours, great. But if the baby isn't yours and you already signed the birth certificate, you are looking at 18 years of tears. Lots of them.
Certificate?
It was the right thing at that moment. We already had a previous child, like I said, so
You just go around signing birth certificates.
because I'm gonna be around the child, I might as well.
Kids are
It's not like I can
Pokemon.
come there
Just
and...
because he had one doesn't mean that he needed to collect them all. If he didn't think that was his child, he should not have done that.
You said that?
Actual cases.
Again, Ms. Brewington isn't allowing anyone to get any words in. She is certain the baby is Mr. Lee's and just can't wait for the DNA test results to be read out. She is just tired of hearing the denial. So why did Mr. Lee not take the DNA test when she offered it?
Figured when I signed it, I knew she was gonna put me on child support because I was already on child support. Now, with the previous child that we had, I had to do a DNA test at the child support services. I figured if I sign it, they're gonna take me right off after I do the DNA test. We came there, and then they said, no, we don't do a DNA test because you already signed the birth certificate.
Yes!
Wait, what? This is so messy. So her friend was telling Mr. Lee lies because she wanted to sleep with him? Is that really what we are going with here? Let us hear more about this lie and what Mr. Lee thinks of it.
That she actually is friends with the dude who is the father, and that he's trying to get in contact with Brittany, but she keeps ignoring him and wants me to be the dad since I'm there already. But for me, it didn't make a change. It was just more verification for me because it didn't change nothing. It wouldn't take me off child support. It wouldn't change the situation with the child.
Your
There's
Honor,
only
his
more information
whole
I could use.
life has been about
Multiple times? You know what? Ms. Brewington would have to be the liar of the century for this baby not to belong to Mr. Lee. She has put on such a performance today that any other outcome would blow our minds. Anyway, here is what the DNA test results say.
Mr. Lee, you are not the father.
Told y'all.
Hold up.
I already knew. I told you.
Don't look at me like that. I don't know God's
Who
plan.
else? It was you that
Did
was...
you just
do that.
inject God in this?
I did not put him in this. I'm just saying.
No, I'm just, hold on.
This is one crazy case and a can of worms. The can of worms partially opened when Ms. Webster learned that Myron Smith, the man she thought was her father, wasn't really her father. She now thinks her real father is Mr. Ware. Here is how it begins.
You dragged the defendant, Mr. Ware, to paternity court to prove that he is your father and claim today's results will prove your case.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Ware, you admit that you had a relationship with Ms. Webster's mother around the time of conception, but say for the past 40 years you were told—
Oh, if you asked your dad if he was your biological father and he replies with that, then it probably means he is hiding something. That sort of answer would just make you have even more doubts. And that is exactly what happened with Ms. Webster. Of course she went searching for answers.
Cousin, Miss Smith, and she said, I really believe in my heart that Mr. Ware is your father. She said you walk like him, you chuckle like him. She said if I close my eyes and you both chuckle, you wouldn't know the difference.
Really?
I had a baby book for a long time and I never really started putting things together until—
So Ms. Webster's mom was seeing Mr. Ware at the time she got pregnant, but she explained that the child belonged to another man and not to her. That makes things very tricky, doesn't it?
Did you ever do the math and think about when she possibly was conceived and whether or not you were in a relationship with her mother at that time?
No, Your Honor. At that time, being, I believe, around 15, 16 years old, I didn't know anything about timelines.
So you just took her word for it?
Yes.
This happened when he was 16? Well, that's understandable. They were just kids. Now, Mr. Webster insists that she hears things about Mr. Ware being her father. Did Mr. Ware ever hear rumors about this?
Never got anything, never got any information.
How did you lose contact? You all dated? Were you boyfriend and girlfriend in high school?
Yes, Your Honor, we were, but we lost contact because a couple of years after that, I went into the military.
Okay. And when you came back, no one said to you, you may have a child?
No one said that to me, and the mom had.
Mrs. Webster insists that this is a sign from the supernatural that Mr. Ware is her father, and you have to admit, the coincidence is a bit suspicious. She immediately saw him after praying to God to reveal who her father was to her. Here is what Mr. Ware thinks about that.
At that time, until she introduced herself.
Well, I also went to meet your mother and she said, I knocked on the door and I said, hi, I'm Demisha, I'm Marsha's daughter. And she stepped back, she said, well, baby, what took you so long? Did your mama get that blood test done?
And Mr. Ware is just being the perfect gentleman here. He is saying he never for once believed in his heart that Ms. Webster was his child. Her mother told him he was not the father, and that was that about that. That is the fact of the matter, and he makes that so clear.
Got a letter in the mail stating that I had to come down to the child support. When I got there, Miss Webster was like, Miss Brady was there. She said that I was Miss Webster's dad. So, being naive, I just took her for a word. I signed the papers. I said, because I'm gonna do the right thing and step up to the plate. If it's my child, then I'm gonna be there for her.
Well, that settles it then. The only way to settle this confusion is to actually invite Ms. Webster and see if she can tell her part of the story. The good thing is, she is also in court, and now it is time to see what she has to say.
So when Mr. Ware talks about being there and rubbing your stomach and all of that, you weren't also in a relationship with him?
I was in a relationship with Mr. Ware. He was my supporter. I mean, he did everything for me, with me, and everything. But he's not the father.
Ms. Brady insists that Mr. Myron Smith, the original father, is actually Ms. Webster's father. Of course, Ms. Webster does not believe this nonsense, but that is the story that her mother is sticking with. Here is what Mr. Myron Smith thinks.
That you're not my child. I love you like a child and like a sister, but you're not my child.
It's Tamara Smith, and I grew up in the household with Demisha's mother, Miss Webster.
Okay.
Well, there is only one way to get to the bottom of this mess, and that is by checking the DNA test. Ms. Brady insists that not only is Mr. Myron Smith the father, Mr. Ware has 0 chances of being the father. Only one way to find out.
Mr. Smith, you are not her father. Are you surprised?
Hurt? Yes. Surprised? No.
I thank you for everything that you've done for me.
Always, baby.
I appreciate you, and like you said,
Always.
Mr. Cleveland knows that his wife is nothing but a dirty cheat and thinks that her son does not belong to him. Mrs. Cleveland says she has no doubts that the child belongs to him and thinks he is just making a fuss over nothing. Here is how it begins.
Our marriage is currently on the rocks. We argue on the daily. I see him treating our son differently than he does his daughter, and it bothers me inside.
I try not to treat him any differently. I try to treat him like he's mine.
You said you try to, Mr.
Yes,
Cleveland.
ma'am. I mean, it's a little hard sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, Your Honor. I mean, there's that thought there that he is not mine. And
We must have heard this story 1,000 times by now. A dude gets a child, realizes that the child does not look like him, and then insists this is evidence of paternity fraud. Most times the dude is wrong, but sometimes he is actually right. Mrs. Cleveland says he cannot be.
Cheated on him.
Oh.
I left him before I ever did anything with any other man.
okay, so the text and everything behind my back isn't cheating. I consider that cheating.
What are the texts behind your back?
Like sexy messages, like I miss you, I love you, you're so handsome.
And you're right about that. You're right about
Wait,
that.
who are you sending those?
Wait a minute. She literally just said she never cheated. And in the same breath, barely 10 seconds later, she admits that she indeed cheated. But it does not count because of what? Let us see how she spins this.
And I feel
No.
unappreciated and unrespected. And so another man was giving me the respect and
Sometimes, Your Honor, yes, I do treat her less and I do treat her wrong sometimes, yes. And a lot of it does stem from, I feel like I'm living a lie, Your Honor.
Why do you feel that way?
Yeah, I can't imagine living with this lady either. She sounds like she attended a school of gaslighting and was valedictorian. She says she never cheated on him after explaining that she actually cheated and thinks that is some sort of weirdo win. Anyway, it gets worse.
After he was born, she informed me that he could possibly not
Your
be
Honor,
mine.
that is not true.
Yes, it is.
That is not true. I told him the first month I was pregnant that it could be his or his friend.
Now.
Wait, what? Hold on, don't just gloss over that. You told him a month. What did you say?
I was a month pregnant and I told him it.
What? Given the lies that Mrs. Cleveland has already said about this case, it seems obvious that we should probably not believe anything she says until we get the DNA test, right? It gets worse. Of course it does.
With Hunter, and it just kind of came out. She looked at me and she said, Adam, there's something I have to tell you. And I said, what is it? And she said, I slept with one of your friends around the time of conception and there's a chance that he's not yours.
Really?
What the heck? He gave you a better lifestyle, took you to church, and that made you sleep with him, despite knowing that he is your husband's friend? Hold on, that just sounds ridiculous. It makes absolutely zero sense.
Your
I
Honor,
was
that's
down,
not true.
I was at a down and out point in my life, and I was in a
Honor,
financial
that's not
crisis,
true.
and she liked the fact he had more money.
He didn't even have a job, Your Honor.
I don't know what they were
So-
Is that supposed to make him feel better? Imagine losing your wife to someone who does not even have a job. For some folks, that would literally be their 13th reason why. But Mrs. Cleveland does not care at all.
Time, or were you all in a full relationship?
No, it was just once. It was just a one-time thing. I felt horrible about it. My heart was with my husband. I love him with all my heart. And I knew that it was wrong for me to be having sexual relationships with him when I didn't even care for him in that manner.
Of course you felt horrible about it. People generally feel horrible about cheating on their partners. So maybe Mrs. Cleveland here is the real victim through all of this. Let us hear more from her.
Fight every day, in and out, from the time we wake up to the time we go to sleep. And he was at work. I had gotten a message from this guy that I'd been friends with since 7th grade, talking about how beautiful I was, just saying all the right things to me, just made me feel wonderful about myself.
Well, there is only one thing left to do. We have to check the DNA test results and see who is telling the truth here. Is Mr. Cleveland just paranoid? Or is Mrs. Cleveland lying about the extent of her cheating?
Mr. Cleveland,
Yes, sir.
you are not the father.
I thought so. I really thought so. I mean, I see it. I mean, I strongly looked at a lot of pictures and made myself want to believe that he was mine, but I just knew he wasn't.
I'm so sorry.
Ms. Carroll wants to save her family, and she wants to save it with the truth. She says that her 3-year-old child definitely belongs to Parr, and that is the whole truth and nothing but it. Mr. Parr just has a few questions concerning that, and here is how it starts out.
Your Honor.
Mr. Parr, you say you have always wanted children, but truly believe Dawson is not your biological son.
Yes,
You
Your Honor.
claim Miss Carroll has tormented you for 3 years and you are ready for the games to stop and the truth to come out. Is that correct?
So Ms. Carroll thinks the ticket to a good marriage with Mr. Parr here is getting the truth out in the open once and for all. She is, in fact, the one pushing the issue. You might think this means she is telling the truth, but this is paternity court, and it is rarely ever that simple.
You say only one time you made a mistake?
Yeah,
What was that mistake?
We weren't even together. We had been on a break. A friend had texted me and asked if I wanted to go on a camping trip with her and 2 other people. So we went on a camping trip, we had some drinks, went on the lake. We got back to the campsite, we had a few more drinks, one thing led to another, and I hooked up with somebody else.
Ah, okay. So her point here is the dates are too close and they don't really line up. Her point is that if the baby belonged to the camping trip guy, then it would not have shown up that soon. Well, let us see what Judge Lake thinks about that.
It's your testimony that there was a result on the test so quickly, you felt like you had been pregnant for a while.
Yeah, I ended up going to the doctor right after I took the pregnancy test. I don't know, a couple days later, I made a doctor's appointment and went to the doctor. They told me the date I conceived was the weekend that I was on the camping trip.
Uh-oh. There are a lot of red flags going off right now. The original date of conception showed that the baby was conceived during the camping trip, but another one showed something completely different. Well, let us hear from Mr. Parr.
I didn't know what to think until they came back with the dates, and they put those dates right on the whole weekend that she was on that camping trip.
And then you said to yourself, I am not Dawson's biological father.
Yes, I did.
And so when the doctor revised the conception window.
Okay. There are two things at work here. It is either Ms. Carroll just right now came up with this insanely detailed lie, or she is just horrible at communicating because she might have saved herself and her family a few headaches if she'd told him this from the jump. Anyway, we will find out who is lying when the DN test get released. Anyway, here is what she thinks.
There at the house, we had 2 family members with us, and they had went over the ultrasound, and I showed them pictures, and I had told them that they had no way to pinpoint what date I actually was, or when I had conceived, and that they had changed it and said I was farther along because Dawson was...
Phew. That is heavy. But if she really knows, would she bring her child here to get the DNA test results in front of strangers? This is messed up, but it is about to get even more messed up.
I never told him he was the father, but he knew that I was pregnant, and he knew that there was a chance because after they had told me the date I had conceived, I did bring it up to him, but I never once said, "You're the father."
And his response was what?
Nothing. I never heard anything back from him.
He never responded?
No.
To be fair to Ms. Carroll, Dawson does look a bit like Mr. Parr, but that on its own does not prove anything. We can't just go on what the child looks like, right? We need concrete reasons, and Mr. Parr has what looks like a concrete reason.
Told me that I wasn't the father, and I had ran into a family member of hers at the gas station one day, and they told me that, well, you don't have to worry about it. It's definitely the guy from the camping trip.
Ah, so she was correct after all. It was not just rubbish science. Ms. Carroll's theory might be correct, and she just might have proven that Mr. Parr is her child's father. But is that all she might have done? Let's find out.
Do things together all the time. They're outside. They work on the motorcycle together. They do everything a father and son should do together.
And so it's your hope that this result today will resolve the paternity questions and you hope to get your relationship back on track?
Yeah, I feel like if once we know the answer and I can...
Phew. This is heavy. It is time to cut to the chase and see if Ms. Carroll has been telling the truth all along, or maybe there is something else here we don't know. It is time to check the DNA test.
Mr. Parr, you are not the father. I'm sorry, you are not the father.
I didn't think I was.
I know that's not what you wanted to hear, Miss Carroll. So Dawson's 3.
Mr. Evans has his own biological law he wants to share with us in court today. Apparently, it is impossible for anyone to get pregnant after a week-long fling. Therefore, he thinks that Ms. Snyder's kid cannot belong to him. Ms. Snyder, on the other hand, has her own thoughts about such nonsense.
You are so emotional.
Yes, Your Honor, because I just want to prove that he's the father and how much I love her and all that.
And when you think about a man denying your baby and saying, she's not mine.
It just makes me mad.
I can see you just can't take your eyes off of it. What are you feeling in this moment right now?
Wait, what? So Mr. Evans is literally some dude who drums by the side of the road, and then Ms. Snyder sees him and thinks, you know what I should do? Flash that dude. And then she does? So what happens next?
Okay, so you're playing drums.
Yeah.
She comes up, you all make eye contact.
Yes. And
she flashes you.
She flashes me,
No.
and then she starts getting closer. Yes, she did. And she starts dancing on top of me. Like she's
No.
literally in my lap while I'm playing drums,
No.
just dancing and everything. Don't
No.
deny it. You can't deny that.
Oh, this is a crazy story, and it seems too elaborate for Mr. Evans to make up just because of paternity court. So she basically becomes his mistress for the drumming evening, and then what happens?
So then I get a phone call from my ex saying that she's at my house right now. She brought a guy over because he lost his job. He needed a place to stay. It was the only place that she can think of to bring him. And I'm just like, okay, you know what, fine. But just know that I'm like, at this point in time, there's this girl dancing on my lap.
Wait, what? Does this happen in real life? This sounds like the scene from a script of a really naughty movie. Does Ms. Snyder not have a home to go to? Exactly what is she doing here? This is crazy. At this point, I'm scared to find out more, but we just have to do it. So what happens next?
I think you know what happened, Your Honor. She started, you know, messing with me, and then my ex noticed, and she was like, "Oh no, that's mine." And I'm just like,
Huh?
She grabs it from Amanda. Yeah. She goes,
I'm sorry. I said what? What?
No.
Oh, it's
And
a
as-
threesome and a game of tug of war at the same time?
No.
Yeah, you certainly had a great time, and you know what they say about great times. If you have too much of a great time and don't protect yourself, you might end up eventually not having so much of a great time for like 18 years. Anyway, what happened next?
And
So you had sex for a week, Miss Snyder, with Mr. Evans?
A couple times during the week, yes.
And you were there all week?
Yes, Your Honor.
And so therefore, that's why you're saying he's Lainey's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
I can't move on from this point until I say, now you know you don't have no business.
Imagine getting up to all of that nonsense without even a job. This man is definitely God's bravest soldier. Has he even heard of protection before? Does he know where it works? Anyway, you can already guess why Mr. Evans thinks this baby isn't his.
or anything like that. I'm thinking that time that we were together I was the only person that she was with, and you know, conceived during that time. And so I'm like, oh yeah, it's fine. You know, if everything goes as planned, you know, I'll be there when the baby's born and everything like that. But work kept me held up, so I didn't get back until.
Oh, we've got a real science guy here. Mr. Evans may not know what protection is, but trust him when it comes to the science of genetics. He knows all there is to know about it. Now it gets interesting.
Track down that other man because we wanted to hear his side of the story. And he sent in the following statement. I admit sleeping with Amanda, but I did use a condom. The condom did not break, so I know that baby.
Wow, this is the case. We have got two scientists in the court who know their details but magically often forget to use protection. Mr. Evans knows all about genetics, and Ms. Snyder knows all about conception dates and whatnot. Anyway, the other man that Ms. Snyder slept with has a few things to tell the court.
Only man you were sleeping with during that time?
Yes,
because
Your
you
Honor.
didn't meet him until the 1st.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you sleep with anybody else on the 31st?
No, Your Honor.
The end of March?
I met him like the end of March, beginning of April.
Okay. So, Mr. Evans, now that you see this calendar.
So according to Ms. Snyder, she might have slept with someone else, but she is sure that Mr. Evans is her baby's daddy. There is only way to get to the bottom of this case. What does the DNA test says?
Mr. Evans, you are not the father. You were right, Mr. Evans. You are not her biological father. Ms. Snyder, I'm sorry, I know that wasn't the result you thought you were going to get today. Have you informed this other man that he could potentially be the biological father?
Told him.
You told him?
I said
Mr. Boykin says that he only had a spring fling with the defendant, Ms. Gully, and for some reason, he believes that children don't come out of spring fling. Ms. Gully is certain she will change his mind and prove that he is indeed her child's father. Let's see how that pans out for her.
You say after disappearing for 9 months, Ms. Gully resurfaced claiming you fathered her son, Messiah Gully. You are certain that this is not your child and plan to prove that in court today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Gully, you say that the defendant is the only man you slept with.
And as we all know, sleeping with someone a couple of times is just a sorry accident that can happen to anyone. And also, it can never ever result in an actual child. So maybe we should just skip the DNA test results and let Mr. Boykin go, eh? Of course not. That isn't how it works at all.
Are you certain Mr. Boykin is your child's biological father?
Yes, I am certain he's my child's father. He's the only man that I've been with during the time that I got pregnant. There's no other guy.
And why do you think he's denying?
I mean, like, I have no idea. He knew that I was pregnant because I called him from the hospital.
Well, we have a bunch of conflicting stories here, don't we? On one hand, we have the very assured and charismatic Mr. Boykin, who thinks summer breeze do not create babies. And on the other hand, we have Ms. Gully, who says she is the Virgin Mary if Mr. Boykin isn't her child's father. What more do we have?
We were just friends at the time. I mean, chilling, hooking up, basically having sex.
So this was a sexual relationship?
Yes.
It wasn't a committed relationship, Mr. Boykin?
No, Your Honor.
How'd you meet?
I met her at the store.
Okay.
Now you can be sure she isn't lying about that the way she said it. I can never get men who just start sleeping with someone and don't even think of using protection. That is crazy, and it is about to get crazier.
Because you said you had sex over the course of a few months. If you had sex over the course of a few months and somewhere about 10 months later she says she's pregnant, that seems to be the window of time that the baby would be conceived.
You know what, Mr. Boykin? We have all been there. This dude is staring at the next 18 years of his life filled with child support checks, and he cannot believe it. Maybe you should have wrapped it up, Mr. Boykin. Anyway, here is why Mr. Boykin thinks he cannot be the father.
She called me after the day she had the baby in the hospital.
I called him after I had my baby, after I cut him off, months before I had my baby, because all he did was call me, wanted to have sex. That was it. And I was sick and went up for it.
You just said, I don't want to deal with this?
Yes.
Because he wasn't trying to have a relationship.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how Darius decided that there was no way this could be his baby. The Council of Dariuses came together, took a vote, and the results were conclusive. Darius, this ain't your baby. It is such a pity this court does not recognize the Council of Dariuses. Anyway, the Council of Dariuses have one last mega performance here.
I hold the baby, I was looking at it, then I looked at her, looking at the baby, looked at her, and I said, no, this ain't my baby. That's how I felt.
He stared at him for a minute, then he kissed him. He held him for a minute, maybe like 10 minutes, then he put him back down. And he told me he'll be keeping in touch, and he left.
I'll be keeping in touch.
Right.
Sounds like that is the best deal you are ever going to get with Darius. He will step up, pay for half of the DNA test, and you have to better cough up the remaining yourself. Anyway, Ms. Gully returned the test, and here is what she did with the money.
Take the test back and get the money?
Yes, I bought my baby Pampers and wipes with.
Well, the babies do need Pampers and wipes. And I mean, you have to understand, Mr. Boykin. I mean, Miss Gully had just had the baby. How's she going half on a DNA test and all of that, and she still...
Wait, what? There is another guy, and you are just telling this court this right now? And a while ago, you told the court that Mr. Boykin was the only one you slept with during the window of conception. So how can both claims be true?
A long-term friend.
And you were having sex with him unprotected as well?
Yes.
How often were you with that man?
Maybe a few times before I got pregnant.
That is a recipe for pregnancy.
After she had the baby? Really? So Ms. Gully isn't sure of her claim. The only way to find out if she is lying or not is to go check the DNA test result and find out for ourselves. Here we go.
Mr. Boykin, you are not the father. You are not the father, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Gully, I could tell that in your mind you had done the calculation and you truly thought Mr. Boykin was your child's biological father. I have to ask you respectfully.
Mr. LeBlanc says that his mistress's kid does not belong to him. The only problem is we don't know if he is saying it to save his marriage or he is saying it because it is the truth. Today's goal is to find out. Here is what Ms. Whalen thinks about all of it.
It started back when I was pregnant. He was staying in my house. It was one night I was telling him that I might be pregnant because I hadn't started my menstruation, so he went out and got some pregnancy tests, asked me to take them. He sat on side my bed holding his head. When I took the first one, I gave it to him and it showed that I was pregnant. He asked me to take another one because he was in disbelief about the first one, so I took another one.
Well, you have to cut the man some slack. When dudes step out of their marriage and sleep with another woman without protection, they expect everything but a pregnancy. And who can blame them? It is not like a pregnancy is what you should totally expect every time you sleep with someone without protection. Anyway, things are about to pop off in this court.
You told him you were pregnant, you proved it, you took the
with
test, and he said, oh my goodness.
You wasn't
so
sleeping with
hold
nobody
on.
up here. Do this.
You do that.
Do this.
Because it's like you sending him to sleep with her.
Ladies,
and come back
ladies,
so
ladies. Now listen, Mr. LeBlanc, when she told you she was pregnant, what were you thinking?
I was in disbelief. I didn't want to believe.
What a nice dude. See how much he thinks of his wife? He definitely did not want his mistress to get pregnant because he did not know how to tell his wife. But he also did not leave his mistress because, come on, you cannot stop him from having a good time. Looks like the good time has finally stopped. But hold on, it gets better.
Ms. LeBlanc, how did you find out about this?
I found out about Vincent through a text message through my husband.
He sent you a text?
A text. No phone call.
A phone call's not even good enough for that.
No, I need to see you face to face.
Can I speak with you face to face? None of that. It was through a text message.
What can I say? Mr. LeBlanc does not blank, ever. So this is the second time he is getting someone pregnant while married to his wife. You know, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, you might be Mrs. LeBlanc. So who is the mother of that first child? Some other woman? Let's see.
Who's the mother of that child?
I am. That's my 3-year-old.
Mr. LeBlanc, really?
Unfortunately, yes, sir.
We all make mistakes in life, some more serious than others, but to make the exact same mistake again.
You see, Mr. LeBlanc has a really good excuse. His wife was putting him out, and he literally had nowhere to go. Poor Mr. LeBlanc. He could not keep it in his pants and hadn't been taught what a condom was. So who can really blame him? Anyway, Mrs. LeBlanc has harsh words of her own.
It was happening all over again, and that's why I just really couldn't. I didn't know how to bring that up. I mean, but then again, I look at it like this here. My wife was steady putting me out. I really didn't have nowhere to go.
What? Did you get any information that she was sleeping with somebody?
There was rumors going around that she had slept with this guy.
For Ms. Whalen, wow, would you look at that? Mr. LeBlanc cheated on his wife, and now he is hoping that the mistress he cheated on his wife with also cheated on him, so that he can get an easy out. Circle of life, am I right? And Mrs. LeBlanc also has her own doubts.
You're finally done?
I'm at my breaking point. This is it. Michael Jackson, this is it.
You're not acknowledging and claiming the paternity of Vincent the way you did Jaden because you're afraid your wife is gonna leave?
No, ma'am, it has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with my wife leaving. It comes about, okay, look at the name Vincent. Who is Vincent? Where'd she get the name Vincent from?
That is about the dumbest logic I have ever heard on this court. The child does not belong to you because you don't know where she got the name Vincent from? Really, Mr. LeBlanc? I am going to need you to use a bit more logic in this argument. But back to Ms. Whalen. Is she 100% sure this kid is a LeBlanc?
So now we have the truth, that there potentially could be another father, and so your doubts or your concerns have been validated. Mr. LeBlanc is Vincent's biological father.
Yes, ma'am.
Why is that, ma'am?
Well, for one thing, I know he was living with her at the time. He came to me and a family member.
Oh God, what? The point here is that Miss Whalen's grandmother believes that Mr. LeBlanc here is the father, and she thinks so because he was often with Ms. Whalen and they always had a mighty nice time. But Ms. Whalen just testified that the baby might have another father. Here is what her grandmother had to say about that.
If she come out and he's not, Mr. LeBlanc's not the father, then I just know my granddaughter was a sneaky little hoe that bypassed me, and I didn't catch that. But I honestly don't believe that. See, whores sleep around. Whores leave their husband and go sleep with other men's and let him go sleep with other women's and then want to get back. That's what whores do.
Hold on.
No whore right here.
Hold on.
I never stepped outside of my marriage.
Yeah, you have.
No, I never stepped outside of my marriage.
Wait, did this woman just say that Mrs. LeBlanc also stepped out of her marriage? Oh well, that isn't the business of this court. What I know, though, is that Mr. LeBlanc is a deadbeat, no matter what the DNA test results say. And here is what they say.
Mr. LeBlanc, you are the father. Miss LeBlanc, I know that's not what you wanted to hear today.
No, not at all. Not at all, Your Honor.
Ms. Johnson knows that Mr. Taylor is the biggest deadbeat in the planet, but she is still certain that he is the father of her baby. Mr. Taylor and his mom are in court, and their argument is the exact opposite. Here is how it begins.
Taylor, you and your mom say you have valid reasons why you believe you are not Jaden's biological father. Okay, so Miss Johnson, explain to me what happened a couple of weeks ago.
My son was over his house. He was only over there 5 days, and he texted me like, you need to get your son, and I'm not getting him until I get a blood test. Like,
wait, so Mr. Taylor never once denied paternity despite being a deadbeat. Then one day, right out of the blue, he calls out and says that the baby isn't his, and then sends that as a message through Facebook? What does the message even say?
You sent this message, Mr. Taylor?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why did you send this out the blue?
It was actually a week ago. Me and my son was in the house playing around. I was told someone was outside for me. I went outside. A girl told me she had something to tell me about my baby mother. She said Miss Johnson told another girl that Jaden wasn't mine.
And that was all it took for this man to decide that this baby no longer belonged to him. Imagine how crazy it is to immediately detach from your kid who was in your house because of what some stranger said about his paternity. That is crazy work. But Mr. Taylor has even more evidence. This time, it's a voice recording.
Because she always say stuff like that. Like, she always say that he's not mine. I have actually
I've never heard her say that. I've never heard her say that.
I
Not one
actually
time.
has a recording saying she said he's not mine. So if you can hand this up.
You have a recording?
Yes.
Oh, Jerome, let me hear that. Where is it, in the voicemails?
Yes.
So just hit play and I'll hear the voicemail.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Whoa, it does not get clearer than that. If your baby mom tells you that about a kid that you think is yours, you'd probably have some paternity doubt too. So maybe, just maybe, Mr. Taylor is right here. Here is her explanation for it.
His child.
Yes, this is after he messaged me that.
Right, and
that's all in the blue. I might.
If he's denying it, I mean, why wouldn't she say it? I don't blame her. If you tell her,
Why you
said come get your baby, so of course they're young. So you're gonna say whatever to make him mad, just like he's saying stuff to make her mad.
So you believe, Ms. Johnson, that she's just talking out of anger?
Yes, I think that was all out of anger.
At the end of the day, it looks like Mr. Taylor is really a deadbeat. He does nothing for his kid, buys nothing for him, and does not even see the kid regularly. That is the definition of a deadbeat if you are looking for one. Here is what Mr. Taylor's mom thinks about all that.
Why do you think he'd make it up, Ms. Johnson?
Because he don't want to step up to the plate and be a dad. He does nothing. He just,
That's a lie.
What you
I
do?
everything for him.
What proof? Where's the proof?
You ain't seen him in 5 months, so what you do?
I have a lot of proof. I sent.
Okay, where is it? Can you see it? Can you
got any
see that?
receipts?
No.
Oh,
You ain't got that?
So wait a minute.
That's what I thought.
He don't have to have receipts. She know we do for
No.
Phew, this is a LT, but this paternity doubt does not sound well defined. First of all, Mr. Taylor is talking about some strange girl sharing rumors. And secondly, this doubt is totally abrupt. He did not even have it through the pregnancy. Here is what her mom thinks.
So you're saying Ms. Johnson leaves Jaden there and doesn't come back and pick him up?
Don't come back and get him.
That's usually why I don't get him, because she never come back and get him.
It took for my son to have pneumonia. Pneumonia in the hospital. Mild pneumonia in the hospital for them to even answer the phone. Like, you don't even know. That's irritating. It's like, you don't even, he's lying. The number's lying.
To watch him, to cut off the phone. If you gotta hunt somebody down to get the baby, first of all.
Too busy? Really? Too busy? I have heard a lot of wacko excuses here on paternity court, but this one seems especially crazy. At this point, I am starting to wonder if there was actually a rumor or Mr. Taylor came up with everything himself. Anyway, here is the story of when they tried to get a DNA test.
Do you remember when your son said somebody told me that the baby's not mine?
Actually, I didn't hear that until just recently.
Mr. Taylor, something that important you never told your mother?
She be a little too busy, so she'll never be at the home.
Too busy to find out that the grandchild she thinks is hers is not her biological child?
Oh, your story is running into some trouble, Ms. Johnson. If a man asks you to submit to a DNA test, that should be a pretty good sign that he is denying your baby, don't you think? That is what I think. Anyway, here is one last proof that Ms. Johnson has that proves this child is his.
What you're saying is he didn't ask for the DNA test, he was ordered to submit.
Yes.
Okay. And so this paperwork confirms that you did go and submit to the DNA testing.
Yes, Your Honor.
You had it done, but what you're saying is she never showed.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you not show up with Jaden, Ms. Johnson?
Not intentionally.
So Mr. Taylor does not have any real proof this child isn't his, and the child has diseases that he also has. This should mean that the kid is his, right? Well, stranger things have happened in this court. Let's see what the DNA test reveals here.
Mr. Taylor, you are the father.
Like I told you.
No. If you're not gonna, don't start that nonsense.
This is a crazy story, and you will not believe how it ends. Mr. Jaramillo says he is certain that his partner's kids belong to his friend, not him. And he says he was right there when they slept together. How is that even possible? Let's find out.
Mr. Jaramillo, you claim your doubt is valid because you were present when another man impregnated Ms. Stremke, and the family you thought you were building is not salvageable until you have DNA proof. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Stremke, why is your family falling apart?
Your Honor, I feel like my family is falling apart because my daughters are basically growing up how I had to.
That is a very horrible thing to say to children. Even if you think they aren't yours, even if you know they are not yours, you just don't do that to children. How did all of this even begin? Let's see.
Fine, I understand that.
I met him very young, and being young, everybody says you don't know what love feels like, but I disagree. I feel like I've loved him since day one, loved him since I was 13.
I mean, he gets this call, and somebody says, this is not your baby, this is the person she was with before you.
Yes.
That is a good point. But another point is that why would some girl he has never even met call him up and tell him that he was not the father of his children? That doesn't just happen. So Mr. Jaramillo might be right in thinking there was something else there. What did she even say specifically?
I have another baby.
That's the part that is the hardest for me to believe because I was done having kids. After I had a boy and I had a girl, I didn't want any more. I pushed my luck. I have a boy, a girl, they're both amazing kids, and there was a point in time where the whole paternity of Naviana was not brought up, and he was practically begging me for another child.
Looks like there is a very real possibility the Navi might not belong to Mr. Jaramillo. But this doubt is just for one child, Naviana. What about the other kid? What is the doubt concerning her?
Because he wanted to try to have a boy. I kept saying no, and then it ended up an actual conversation where I was like, okay, well, it wouldn't be the worst thing because we're getting along really well. The question of paternity is not being brought up anymore, and that's when we ended up deciding to like spice up our sex life and everything.
Oh, yeah, anytime someone brings up spicing up their intimate life in paternity court, it is never ever something good. It never ends up well. It is usually something totally depraved and insane. But let's get to the bottom of it.
To pick another woman, and it was what it was. We did it, and then it was maybe a couple weeks later it got brought up. It'd only be fair if we had a male, and you. So I said, okay, all right, that's fine. It's something new and everything. And I had changed my mind on it and decided, because I have so many like body issues, not like in the way I look after I've had a child and everything, that I decided no.
That is such a bad idea. In the Hall of Fame of bad ideas, that idea is like Michael Jordan. It was never going to end up well, even if they did not have a paternity issue because of it. Let's see what Mr. Jaramillo thinks about that.
It was a mutual suggestion between Amber and I. We had gone through it back and forth between Miss Stremke and I. It was a toss-up back and forth. One minute she'd want to do it, the next minute she didn't. And from being with Amber, I know if she's gonna do something, it has to be on the spot. So to get it done and over with, yeah, I did bring this friend of mine.
Oh, do you now? After the deed has been done, now is when you regret it? This dude is like the patron saint of bad ideas. He even said it was a mutual suggestion. That does not sound like a mutual suggestion, sir. Let us learn more about this issue.
Timing of the pregnancy after the admitted threesome without protection, do you need her to explain it? I mean, isn't it obvious that there is a paternity?
First doctor's appointment by myself. And the doctor that I saw assured me that there was no possible way, that I had to have already been pregnant before that.
Now we know that there is a 50-50 chance the second baby does not belong to Mr. Jaramillo, but to his friend. At this point, I still cannot wrap my head around the fact that this dude thought it was clever to actually let his buddy smash his wife without protection. And now he says something totally crazy, too.
I'm not just gonna accept
Lexi looks like my buddy that we had the threesome with. Like,
you believe she does?
I believe she does. Like, me and my buddy have talked about it. There's some similarities. I don't have that light of hair.
You may be Hispanic, but her mom is white.
So is my buddy. My buddy is white. And when I first told him that there was a chance that he might be the father, he said he wants to be involved. He doesn't want to be apart from her if this is his, you know?
Well, you laid your bed, dude. And then you laid on it with your friend and the mother of your children, and then did not use protection or tell your friend to use protection. Let us get to the bottom of this matter and see what the DNA test has to say about all of this.
Mr. Jaramillo, you are the father. The next result reads as follows. Mr. Jaramillo, you are the father.
Oh my God, this is so good.
Mr. Brown does not care if you call him a deadbeat. He is not spending a single dollar on twins that he is sure aren't his. Ms. Mayo says that's what all deadbeats do, and today she will prove that he is the father of her kids, and then put him on child support.
You say when today's results prove your case, you want him to pay you $1,000 for half of the child-rearing expenses.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Brown, you say the only reason Ms. Mayo is claiming you're the father is because she's trying to trap you and she's desperate to be with you. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so Ms. Mayo, you're suing for child-rearing expenses. What has Mr. Brown done for your twins thus far?
Yeah, That is the definition of a deadbeat dad. But all deadbeat dads have an excuse, and Mr. Brown's excuse might be the best of them all. His claim is simple. He is not the dad. So why should he pay support? Here is how he puts it.
Why is that?
Because I don't believe they my children.
I don't know why you feel like that and you know they're yours. I don't know why you feel like that and you already know.
For one, I feel like she trapped me.
I never trapped you. How did I trap you? I didn't want to have no child with you. So I wish I would have never got pregnant.
Why was you messing with me from the beginning? Why was you messing with me from the beginning?
Because at first we was friends. Why you putting on a show?
Oh, really, Mr. Brown? You are sure that is what they all say? Seems like you have a lot of experience with this sort of issues, don't you? How did this two even meet in the first place? What happened?
About you all were just having sex for sport or what?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Basically, but
Yeah.
basically we was friends. No, don't even. We was friends. We been best of friends until Cedric really.
Best of friends?
Yes, we have been. Before all this happened, we was friends.
Man,
so
we
you
was
wasn't
friends.
helping me take
Okay.
care of my kids. The kids did
Yeah.
not. We weren't friends. Making
doing
sure
all-
I
I
got
was
to
doing
work.
all that,
Making
but-
sure this. And
Wait a
that.
minute, he was helping you take care of your other kids.
Yes.
Yeah, he really is kind-hearted. His name is Mr. Cedric Brown the Kind Heart. He was certainly not doing all of that just for a crumb of raw intimacy, if you get what I mean. It was only from the kindness of his heart. It was a situationship, and that was that. Let's see more.
What was the situationship when she told you she was pregnant?
He left. He blocked me on everything. Blocked me on Facebook. Blocked me on Instagram.
Okay,
removed
look,
everything.
can we take
Just
it
started
back?
talking to me.
I'm saying, can we
Just started
take?
block
can
my
we-
mama. I wrote his mama.
You
on,
blocked her mama too, Mr. Brown?
I wrote his
that.
mama.
Ah, I see. It seems Mr. Cedric Brown the Kind Heart is allergic to actually using protection, and both of them are really happy-go-lucky about the prospect of creating a child together. But it gets better. Cedric Brown Kind Heart has a baffling testimony.
I'm at her house, we just kicking it. You know what I mean? She tell me to come in the room, I come in the room. She present me with all type of documents, medical documents, stating that she can't have no children, that she can't have children or none of that. How her last child was never supposed to be here. How the doctor told her that she would never have children again.
It seems both of these people are deeply confused about how babies are made. Mr. Brown seems to think a baby would not form simply because he does not want one to, and Ms. Mayo seems to be just happy to go along on that journey of delusion. Let us get to the paternity doubt. Why does Cedric the Kind doubt that these kids are his?
Kind-hearted Mr. Brown.
Because I didn't want this. I stated this from the beginning. I don't want no children. This was her whole plan from the beginning. Her whole plan from the beginning was to have kids by me.
Was not. Who are you?
Man.
Cedric,
Stop
what do you
playing.
have? Like,
Stop
come on,
playing. You
tell me
can
something.
front- You can front in front of these
Yeah,
folks,
you
but
right.
you know what's going
Okay.
on for real.
All right.
Those kids are not even one yet, so no one knows what they look like. They don't even look like their mom. So that excuse does not even work. The second doubt is that Ms. Mayo sleeps around just because she slept with him on the first night. But that is no real doubt either. Anyway, Mr. Brown wants to elaborate his case.
As you can see, I got very thick eyebrows. This is a distinct feature
They
of
was
me.
just born. Look at
Okay.
Chloe's eyebrows. Look
This
at
me.
Chloe right now.
This me. Thick eyebrows. This them. That's them.
Well, they 2 months old. They don't even have time to grow that many eyebrows yet.
I am sorry, Mr. Cedric Brown, the not so kind-hearted. She kind of ate you up right there. All his excuses are falling flat, and you see, he is grasping for straws and is not getting any straws whatsoever. But he has a lifeline, and that is the birth certificate.
Now Mr. Brown has come back to the courtroom, and he's asking a valid question. If I am the father, why wasn't I named as father?
Cause he wasn't there. For what? You already blocked me. Man, did I have your number? Who else's number you blocked? He blocked my sister's number. I could not call him.
What? Just like that? Really, Mr. Cedric Kind Heart? Well, let's see how kind your heart is now when you find out if you are really the father of the twins. Let us see what the DNA test result has to tell us.
Mr. Brown, you are the father.
What you gonna do now?
Man, you know I'm gonna take care of my children, man. Come on, man.
We'll see.
Ms. Sutton believed that Mr. Smith was the man of her dreams, and then she got pregnant and realized that he was nothing but an undercover deadbeat. Now she wants to prove he is her child's father once and for all and get this whole case settled. Here is how that case begins.
Baby mama were together when he was supposed to be with me. Like, he was staying with me, living with me. I used to see him every day. He used to come home every night. And then all of a sudden, when I get pregnant, it's an issue. When I post my picture of my ultrasound when I got pregnant with my daughter on Facebook, I tagged him in it, and that's when she messaged me and she told me who she was. By my understanding, when she was pregnant with their daughter, he said he wasn't with her.
Ms. Sutton knows that this man was lying to her, but Mr. Smith does not think so. In fact, he has a totally different story that may make you doubt Ms. Sutton's honesty. Here is how that story starts.
When I first met Miss Sutton, first I met her through my cousin. You know, we chilled, we kicked it off. First time we had a sexual encounter, we met at my auntie's house. We stayed, spent the night with each other, had our first sexual encounter. So after we had sex, I had went out of town to Cleveland, Ohio on a vacation.
Oh, so we have two different stories and one baby with what the mother calls a big forehead. Interesting, but things are about to get even worse here. Mr. Smith thinks the reason why everyone thinks the kid looks like him is because of the pictures Ms. Sutton cannot stop posting.
Telling everybody, oh, look, this is his baby, he denying my baby, and all this, and then that thing, I look up, you got a picture with your baby and another dude beside each other.
That is my husband. It's a family picture.
A family picture? And she really wanted me to be in that girl life. That day that I called her and said, hey, I'm finna come up there, you want me to come up there and pull up on you and see the baby?
Wait. She is married? Ms. Sutton is married right now and is arguing with some dude over paternity on paternity court? Well, that is certainly a choice. But let us get to the bottom of this matter. And now things get fiery.
Point blank, you so ghetto, you so ghetto and so
messy. This ain't got nothing to do with you. I didn't sleep with you.
Hold on, let's get some order. Let's get some order.
So,
see, she messy like that. She messy like that,
No, because this is between me and you. I don't have my mother standing here because my mama ain't got nothing to do with it. Hey, then how come you didn't take it when it was free?
Man.
And I'm sure gonna take a picture of the D 99.99999.
Hold on. What? She slept with her baby's daddy family members? Wait, did she do that during the conception window? Because if she did not, then it might be nasty on its own. But it is basically irrelevant to this case. But it gets worse.
Recently, she just stopped fooling with one of my family members' husband.
Okay, but the lease is in my name, isn't it, right? And the lease was in my name, but you was staying with me.
Miss Colley.
If I can have somebody on there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I pay that rent. I pay the rent. I pay the bill.
She ran off on $500.
All right.
Hold on, let's get some order.
What does she mean by she bought him? Is Ms. Sutton paying this man to sleep with her? Did she pay Mr. Smith to sleep with her? This case is getting crazier. Let us hear what Mr. Smith has to say.
Your Honor, let me tell you what my mama mean when she say bye-bye. Okay, every time I got incarcerated, me and LaQuay, we was never in no boyfriend and girlfriend relationship. Yes, we did have a sexual intercourse with each other. So every time I done went to jail, yes, I done called LaQuay. She think that just because she put money on my book, money on my phone, when I get out, she feel like I'm obligated to stay with her because what she done for me behind the wall.
Okay, hold up. If your son and men in your family are going to jail and getting bought by a woman who just sends them money in jail, you have bigger fish to fry. And that fish isn't the lady giving them money. Why are they going to jail so many times? Let us get Ms. Sutton's position clearly.
He has never done nothing for her. The whole 3 years of her life has been me.
Child looks for their dad. They know their dad. They talk.
Knows him.
Does she call him dad?
Yes. Every time I show him a picture of her, like, I hate him. Like, just to get that clear, I hate him. But if he would want to be in her life, I wouldn't stop him.
This is crazy. You can see that Ms. Sutton has clearly moved on from this dude and is only here because she is very sure that he is the father of her kid. And she wants that evidence. But that will not stop her from getting into a shouting match here.
Deceitfulness, her lies, her manipulation, she's horrible. She screenshots, she puts it all on Facebook when they're not looking.
My family.
She's done it to my family members' husband or boyfriend or their baby daddy. And when they're over there, she secret screenshot, put it all on.
Well, don't talk to me and don't come around me then.
Phew, that is a lot. There is only one way to resolve this case now. Is Mr. Smith the father of this baby's kid? Or has Ms. Sutton been lying to us all day? Only one way to find out, and that is through the DNA test.
Mr. Smith, you are the father.
Oh, thank you. After 3 years. 3 years.
All right, Ms. Sutton.
I'm gonna see my baby.
3 years.
Okay. It's okay.
Mr. Matherson knows he is not a deadbeat. You see, he cannot be a deadbeat father if he is not actually a father. Ms. Robinson says Mr. Matherson better grow up because this kid is definitely his. And here is how that case starts out.
Refused. She was ducking and dodging, you know.
I do see in the court record, original contact date is June of 2015. So that was more than a year ago. You say Ms. Robinson's been ducking and dodging.
Yes, Your Honor.
We've been trying.
Ms. Robinson, have you been ducking this case?
No, Your Honor, I haven't been contacted by anyone.
Yup, Ms. Robinson thinks he is the biggest deadbeat in the history of deadbeats, so she definitely will not be allowing him to see her kid until he steps up. You can already guess what Mr. Matherson thinks about all of that.
It's Alexis, from the beginning, when we found out
She
Alexis
confused.
was pregnant with
She don't know what's
Jaden.
going on. She don't know who she
It
wants
was
the
told to
father
me.
be.
It was told to me
That's all.
to get a paternity test when we found out she was pregnant by close friends.
So someone told you
Yes.
to get a paternity test?
Correct, because she's very promiscuous and that she is following in her mother's footsteps.
Yeah, this will be a blockbuster for sure. Both families really don't like one another, and the only reason they put up with this is because of the child at stake. Now, let us listen to Mr. Matherson's doubts. He probably has really good ones, right?
To be a junior. My name is no part of his name, period. That's for one.
Oh, so do you feel because they never considered giving Jaden your name that was somehow an indication that he may not be yours?
Your Honor, I didn't feel
she's
like
a
I should
compulsive
have
liar.
to give him his last name because at the same time, we was not married.
Hold on there, young woman. If he was not showing you any sign that he would be able to take care of your child, why would you even have a baby by him in the first place? A condom could have prevented all of this. You know that, right? Let us see what her mom has to say.
Talk about a newborn child, so I was taking full responsibility of taking care of their
I did
child.
not have
But if I'm going to him and I'm saying, give me $20 a week for your child, that's $100 a month. That's not no money for no child.
High school sweethearts?
At one point in high school, yes.
Did you use protection?
No.
Obviously not.
Were you all in a committed relationship?
Yeah, well.
Ms. Robinson's testimony is simple. Mr. Matherson was the only person she was sleeping with, and that means this child has to be his. Let us see if Mr. Matherson has any reasonable objection.
When I went to work and you was with a boy and supposedly all y'all did was kiss.
What guy is that, Mr. Matherson?
I heard
A
about
guy
it.
named, a couple days later, she told me because someone told her if she didn't tell me, they were going to tell me.
I
She
did
did. So she
recall my
came to
mom
me and
didn't
told
even
me
allow me to
that
have
all they
a cell
did was
phone at
kiss.
this time.
So all this is a lie, Miss Robinson?
Correct.
Basically, this is the first time we ever heard it.
We'll see.
Ever.
So it really is all about the money. The Mathersons think that Ms. Robinson and her mom are just trying to get money from them through the baby, and that sounds so ridiculous. $25 per month? Really? That is what they are going with? This is crazy, but it gets worse.
She fast. Watch her, she fast. And that very first time when I was told somebody she was pregnant, the first thing out of their mouth, get a paternity test.
If you felt
And that's
like
why I'm
that,
here.
Regardless of whatever Lexus had going to Taiwan, your son needs to grow up and be a man and take care
And
of
she
his
needs to
child.
grow up and
That's
be a
just it.
mother. And she
At
needs
the
to grow
end
up
of
and
the
be
day,
a
Your
mother.
Honor,
Because if
I
he's
feel
never...
like-
All right, one at a time.
The Robinsons and the Mathersons can probably scream down the roof of the court if Judge Lake lets them, but at some point we have to get to the root of this paternity doubt. Is there even any serious doubt here? Let us see what Mr. Matherson has to say.
First reason is I didn't get a chance to sign the birth certificate. I kept calling. Oh yeah, we're gonna do it. Never got to do it. Next thing you know, she disappeared.
Well, that is a great point. If he will not be there to support the child, why should anyone pay money to get him to put his name on the certificate? That just does not make any sense whatsoever. Here is what Ms. Robinson has to say about all of that.
Mr. Matherson has stated he believes there's another gentleman that could be Jaden's father. Collins, Mr. Matherson has indicated that he believes that you are Jaden's biological father. Do you believe you are?
I'm 100% sure I'm not his father because I wasn't even talking to Alexis on that level at that time.
And there you have it, folks. It is either Ms. Robinson has been lying to us, or Mr. Matherson is just your garden variety deadbeat. There is only one way to know, and that is through the DNA test results. Here is what that result says.
Mr. Matherson, you are the father. That's your little boy.
Now, can we see him?
Your Honor.
Now, can we see
May I
him?
have that paper?
Now, oh, honey, I ain't gonna hold that copy of it. This was about to have that. That's what's going on.
May I have custody?
Partial,
full.
In a world where DNA revelations can turn lives upside down, Paternity Court with Judge Lauren brings out some of the wildest moments in courtroom drama. From jaw-dropping betrayals to shocking twists, it's not always the parents who are blindsided. Get ready for a roller coaster of emotions as we dive into the most insane revenge moments. Here's a rundown of the explosive episodes where scorned mothers took matters into their own hands. Can you imagine having 5 kids in just 5 years? It sounds absolutely insane, right? But that's the startling reality for our #1 contender on this list. Ms. Thomas and Mr. Nelson had been living together for over 5 years, and while their relationship was far from a bed of roses, she certainly found comfort in this chaotic arrangement until everything took a dramatic turn and turned sour. Things escalated when Mr. Nelson brought Ms. Thomas to paternity court, flat out denying paternity of their 5th child, which threw their entire relationship into turmoil.
You claim you spent 6 years in a relationship with the defendant, Mr. Taylor, and gave him 5 beautiful children. In return, he cheated on you and is now questioning the paternity of your youngest child, 8-month-old Jakai. You are here to prove paternity and win him back, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
He leveled shocking accusations against her, claiming that she had been unfaithful with another man during their long situationship. But how did he know she was cheating? His evidence came from a text message.
He decided to leave because at that time we did grow apart.
I used to find stuff in her purse and everything. She'd be like, I'm going to work today.
Because I went to the
She'd come back and be like, you like this outfit right here? I'm like, yeah, where you going? Well, you worked all week. If anything, I've been here with the kids all day long, all 4 of them.
If infidelity were judged solely based on the number of men someone texted, we'd all be deemed guilty in the eyes of Judge Lauren. Yet, Mr. Nelson insisted that Ms. Thomas was nothing more than a dishonest pile of filth, openly entertaining calls and messages from other men. In the heat of the moment, she even hinted at having engaged in revenge sex, but only with that one man, trying to downplay the situation.
So what is this? Why then do you start having other men popping up on your phone?
It wasn't men, it was that one man, not men.
And why? Why did you get in a relationship with this one man? As retaliation for his cheating?
As tears streamed down her cheeks, Ms. Thomas dropped a bombshell in the courtroom that left everyone utterly stunned. Guess what? Mr. Nelson was just as guilty of the very crime he accused her of committing. He was secretly married to a Miss Campbell who was also present in the courtroom. Wild. She revealed that she hadn't known about the other woman until recently, realizing that he had been two-timing both of them without a shred of remorse.
That's when he started denying my son. Mind you, he was cheating on me with her. I didn't know about her until I found out she was calling him through Facebook. And he was trying to lie then because we were still messing around even when he was with her.
Just when you think the situation couldn't possibly get any worse, it did. The audacity of it all. Under normal circumstances, Judge Lauren would have had no reason to go after Ms. Thomas while she was on the hot seat, but the arguing escalated when they began to dispute who the real side chick was in this tangled love triangle.
Going from wifey to side chick.
No, I'm not nobody's side chick because your husband is the one that tells me he wants to leave.
But that makes you a side chick.
No,
that
it
makes you a
doesn't.
side chick. We're
No, it
legally
does not.
married.
Wait a minute. No, it does not.
Listen.
No, it does not.
Listen.
He told me he married you out of spite.
No, I did.
This infuriated the judge as she made it unequivocally clear to both women that they had been fooled by the very man they thought belonged to them. She emphasized that neither woman was superior to the other in his twisted hierarchy of preferences. He had made them both miserable, leaving them trapped in a tumultuous emotional roller coaster of drama and heartbreak. This infuriated Judge Lauren, who swiftly set them straight with her commanding authority.
Both of you all confused. He's sleeping with both of y'all, okay? So look, let's clear the air. Neither one of you are on a step higher than the other. Cause you may now be his wife, but that's the mother of all his children and maybe another one. You all both look miserable. I can see the look on your face, Mr. Nelson. You decided in your mind that it's possible for you to have both of these women. And they let you. You're not gonna sit up here and fool me, cause let me tell you something. I don't know what they fighting over.
Ms. Thomas had 5 kids. 5 children with a man who couldn't care less, all within just 5 years. The absurdity of that fact echoed in the courtroom, leaving everyone shaking their heads in disbelief. After a lengthy history of back-and-forth drama, Judge Lauren went berserk, asserting her judicial authority and passionately declaring that no man should ever come between 2 women, no matter the circumstances.
You got 4 kids. No, you really do. Because no. Because I see too much women in your position. And you say, if he just leave me alone, I'll be all right.
I will.
No. He don't just slip on a banana peel and land between your legs.
When Ms. Thomas tried to downplay her happiness, insisting that she was relieved not to have married the cheating man, the judge quickly cut her off, stating, "You're still in it. The only difference is that the other woman has a piece of paper."
I I turned that down. Because I'm glad I didn't marry him because I would be going through the same thing right now. I'll be married to him getting cheated on too.
You still in it. She just got a piece of paper. You need to be honest. You're all in this. So you can't point a finger at Miss Nelson and say, oh, I'm glad I'm not you. Because you are her on the other side of the mirror.
In this case, Judge Lauren was clearly swimming in a pool of anger, feeling the weight of the emotional turmoil surrounding her. Then came the moment we'd all been waiting for. Would Mr. Nelson be deemed the father of this number 5 out of 5? The suspense was palpable as the court prepared to reveal the results. Let's find out.
Mr. Nelson, you are the father. It's number 5.
I met him and he already had, 4 kids with her. So what's one more?
I'll tell you what one more is. One more means this isn't over.
Next on our list is a moment so jaw-dropping, it feels like something straight out of a screenplay. Mr. Broussard stormed into paternity court, armed to the hilt with evidence that his wife had been unfaithful time and again. He wasn't just throwing baseless accusations, he demanded a DNA test to confirm his darkest suspicions and get the answers he desperately needed.
Mr. Broussard, you opened your case hoping the court will grant you a paternity test so you can prove you are not the father of 4-month-old baby Charles. You say your 1-year marriage to the defendant is on the verge of collapse because of paternity doubt and you need this test.
On the flip side, Ms. Broussard was in full-on damage control mode. She insisted that her husband was simply being paranoid, driven mad by whispers and gossip circulating among their friends and family. But Mr. Broussard wasn't buying it for a second. He came prepared with undeniable proof, ready to reveal all the scandalous details that would shed light on their troubled marriage. And reveal them he did.
So, Ms. Broussard, what's going on in the home?
He is so obsessed with my ex that he feels that I'm cheating on him every time I do something. We argue, we fight all the time. Me and him just are not getting along at all.
What unfolded next was nothing short of a roller coaster ride filled with accusations, denials, and shocking admissions. Mr. Broussard even went as far as to accuse his wife of engaging in a full-blown affair with her ex, which she vehemently denied, of course.
Reason why, that gave me my doubt that little Charles is not mine.
Then, things took a dramatic turn when Mr. Broussard presented his Exhibit A. And let's just say, it painted a troubling picture for Ms. Broussard.
On my table, I just got off work, and basically I walked in, and the cups looked freshly poured. You still can see the water dripping off of it because it's going to room temperature. So I asked, why is there another cup here? She basically said, I don't know. I said, well, you had in my house then. She didn't know.
She said, I don't know?
The atmosphere grew so tense that you could hear a pin drop in that courtroom. Ms. Broussard appeared visibly rattled, but she stood her ground, refusing to back down even when confronted with some truly incriminating evidence. This was a woman determined not to go down without a fight, showing incredible resolve in the face of mounting pressure.
Miss Broussard, did your ex send you a naked photo?
Yes, he did.
And you don't tell him don't do that?
I do, but he's gonna do it anyways because he, like I said,
and you don't block his number?
No.
The real bombshell came when Mr. Broussard declared, with unwavering conviction, that he wasn't even sure if he was the biological father. He stated this with such certainty, having confirmed his wife's infidelity with her ex, sending shockwaves through the courtroom.
So how do you go from rumors to just being convinced she slept with her ex?
In August, I was away, and once I returned home, I seen Helen in the shower, and she had handprints on her thighs, her buttocks.
As for Ms. Broussard's reaction, it was anything but ordinary. She openly admitted to her actions without a hint of shame, offering a rather surprising justification: revenge sex. It was a bold admission that left everyone in the courtroom momentarily speechless.
You admitted to your husband that you had slept with your ex in your house.
Yeah.
And you don't have no shame in it, huh?
But I slept with him after his ex called me telling me that they were having an affair too.
Oh, so the revenge sex.
Yes.
As the courtroom held its collective breath for the results, anticipation hung in the air like a thick fog. Was Mr. Broussard right all along, or had he been chasing mere shadows, blinded by jealousy and doubt? When the judge finally read the results, the tension was palpable. Slicing through the atmosphere like a knife, the truth had finally emerged. And the outcome? Let's just say it left everyone in that courtroom, and likely everyone watching, completely shell-shocked and speechless.
Mr. Broussard, you are the father. How does it feel to hear that?
I feel a lot more better about the results. I still got love for him. As far as me and Helen go, you know, we have to work on our marriage and our differences. Pretty happy that.
The next episode is a perfect depiction of regret following a revenge sex. Let's dive into the thrilling details of the case Greer versus Thompson. Ms. Greer, in a bid to get back at her boyfriend, had revenge sex and ended up not knowing who fathered her child. Mr. Thompson, however, had no clue about this and had already been fulfilling parental duties for a full 6 months before a shocking revelation hit him, through social media no less, that made him question whether he was even the father.
Ms. Greer, you are the mother of 1-year-old Lanaya. You say you regret cheating on the defendant, Mr. Thompson, as an act of revenge to hurt him.
Yes, Your Honor.
Because of the mistake you made, you now claim you have no clue who fathered your child.
The drama began after Mr. Thompson cheated on Ms. Greer, sparking her desire to get even. She found herself on a dating site, looking for someone to inflict the same pain on Mr. Thompson. And soon enough, she did. She hooked up with another man. Not long after, Ms. Greer discovered she was pregnant and quickly informed Mr. Thompson, who had no idea about her affair.
I found out that he cheated on me, and I wanted to get revenge. And I met this man on a dating website. I slept with him, and I found I was pregnant. I didn't have nobody, and I just wanted to do it.
Upon hearing the news, Mr. Thompson made a life-changing decision. He turned his entire life around, moved from Tennessee to Atlanta, Georgia, and committed himself fully to being the father he always wanted to be.
While I was in Tennessee, me and my family had moved to Tennessee, and all of a sudden I get a Facebook message from Ms. Greer saying that she's pregnant, and I told her that she was lying, that I didn't believe her, so I told her to send a message of the pregnancy test that she took with it, and she did. And after that, me and my family had moved back to Atlanta, Georgia, so they can help me.
He threw himself into the experience, excitedly attending the birth of the child, full of pride and joy. He even stayed by Ms. Greer's side throughout her hospital stay and was the one to cut the umbilical cord. Through all of this, he remained.
Hey, that's about how you look. So you were there through it all?
Yes.
This very moment where you're exhausted, you all been up all night, and yet you're excited and joyful, you have no clue that she had slept with another man.
Blissfully unaware of the secret she kept, that there could be other potential fathers. And there's more. Both Ms. Greer and baby Lanaya even moved in with Mr. Thompson and his family after the birth.
Yes, Your Honor.
And after they got home, have you been there? Oh, she's beautiful. Have you been there?
Your Honor, after she left the hospital, she moved in with me and my...
The real shocker came when a member of Ms. Greer's family dropped a bombshell on Mr. Thompson's Facebook page. The post claimed that there were 2 other men in the picture, men who could possibly be Lania's father. This revelation sent shockwaves through the courtroom, leaving everyone in disbelief.
One of her family members posted it on Facebook about that the baby's not mine, that it can be 2 other people I guess she was sleeping with.
Wait, her family member posted this on Facebook?
On my page.
On your page? After you've been at the hospital with the baby and everybody knew how excited and happy you were?
Ms. Greer had kept this explosive secret for 6 whole months. When asked why she hadn't come clean earlier, she simply said it was because she loved Mr. Thompson and didn't want to jeopardize their relationship.
How long?
I didn't want to ruin the relationship that we had. And when I told him, he started crying. And it made me feel bad because, you know what I'm saying, this is the man I love, and it's just like...
Her plan? to keep the truth hidden until Linnea turned 1, hoping by then their bond would be so strong that the news wouldn't destroy everything.
Ever told him the truth?
Yes, Your Honor, till she was a year old.
When she was a year?
Yes.
And is that because you felt like, let me get him attached to her so that he can't walk away from her, then I'll tell him and it won't matter then because he'll already love her and be back in love with me and everything be okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Just when the court thought things couldn't get worse, another surprise was revealed. Baby Linnea had been living with Mr. Thompson as a full-time dad for 3 months, while Ms. Greer had been staying elsewhere.
And where's Ms. Greer? She lives with you all too?
No, she lived with my brother and his baby mama and his family.
You have had the baby, Linnea, at your house with your family. You really have been full-time dad.
Yes, Your Honor.
This raised some serious concerns about what might happen if the child wasn't actually his.
What are you gonna do? Because this baby, she believes you are her daddy.
I wouldn't know what I would do if she's not mine.
Then entered Mr. Tolles, another potential father. He confirmed Ms. Greer's story of how they met, but didn't hesitate to call her a compulsive liar. According to him, Ms. Greer had lied about having a boyfriend, and then claimed she was pregnant for that same boyfriend.
Bottom line is you all did have sex.
Yeah, we had sex
without using protection.
We had sex on the floor. The first time we used the condom.
Okay.
The second and the third time we did not use the condom. She stayed over my house the whole weekend. Some kind of way, her and my sister became close friends and ended up hanging out and conversating with each other.
Initially, Mr. Tolles had no reason to worry, until a relative of Ms. Greer contacted him on Facebook, sending pictures of baby Linnea. The resemblance to his 2-year-old son was striking.
Calls me and inbox me on Facebook saying that they think the baby mine cause it looked like me, and I told her to send me a picture. I have evidence of the picture.
Let me see
this. Is my son and Linnea.
But then, another comparison photo of Linnea next to Mr. Tolles showed no similarity at all, adding further doubt to the claims that he might be the father.
Of you,
Linnea and me.
And Linnea.
Yes.
Now when you look at that picture,
I don't see no resemblance.
You don't see it. And so you are truly doubtful. You don't know what to believe.
I don't know what to believe because she's a compulsive liar.
As if the situation wasn't already chaotic, Mr. Tolles dropped one final bombshell. He suggested there could be a third man involved. He revealed a Facebook post showing Ms. Greer cozying up to another man, her ex-boyfriend, with a romantic caption that read, "True love."
Miss Greer, I found this on Facebook where she hooked up with another dude. That's not me in the picture or Mr. Thompson in the picture.
Okay, but Ed, that's my ex-boyfriend, so?
Baby father.
He's not Linnea daddy. And so what?
Okay, so you see this picture posted with true love by it. So now you think there's a third.
When questioned, Ms. Greer denied any sexual relationship with her ex around the time Linnea was conceived, insisting the only possibilities were Mr. Thompson or Mr. Tolles.
She's a child of herself that can't take care of herself. So how do she gonna take care of baby?
How you gonna tell me I'm an unfit man?
Miss Greer, this man in this picture, you say that's your ex-boyfriend?
The plot thickened even further when Mr. Thompson brought in a conception calendar calculator, which indicated he wasn't even in Atlanta at the time Linnea would have been conceived. Talk about complications.
So the baby was born on September 27, 2012. And if we hit calculate, possible date of ovulation is January 5th, 2012. Possible dates of conception are January 1st through the 9th of 2012.
With everything spiraling out of control, it became clear that science was the only thing that could bring clarity to this mess. Mr. Thompson desperately wanted to be the father. Ms. Greer hoped for the same outcome, and Mr. Tolles feared he had already lost precious time. It was truly a beautiful moment in its own way, with everyone clinging to hope as the court awaited the paternity results.
So the baby was born on September 27, 2012. And if we hit calculate, possible date of ovulation is January 5th, 2012. Possible dates of conception are January 1st through the 9th of 2012.
Now, let's find out who leaves the courtroom the happiest.
It has been determined by this court that her biological father is Mr. Thompson. You're happy. I can see it in your eyes.
Yes.
I'm proud of you for stepping up to the plate even when there was doubt.
In this gripping episode of Paternity Court, we plunge into the tumultuous case of Funzie versus Irvin, where hidden secrets and powerful emotions collide in a heated quest for paternity. Ms. Funzie strides into the courtroom, a blend of resolve and apprehension evident on her face as she prepares to confront Mr. Irvin regarding her assertions about their child, firmly believing it belongs to both of them. The atmosphere is charged with tension as she readies herself to unveil her truth, aiming to settle the doubts that have haunted their relationship. All eyes are on her as the stakes rise, and the quest for the truth takes center stage.
Good day, everyone. Ms. Funzie, you have opened your case to save your family. You are here to prove your 1-month-old baby, Joakim Irvin, is your boyfriend, Mr. Irvin's biological son. You say you and Mr. Irvin have 2 other children.
However, Mr. Irvin was not so easily convinced, especially after Ms. Funzie had hinted at infidelity just weeks before the pregnancy. The air crackled with anticipation as both parties geared up to lay bare their grievances.
You blame his sister for stirring up his ridiculous doubts, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Irvin, you say that Ms. Funzie confessed to having an affair.
Ms. Funzie recounted the history of cheating that had plagued their relationship, revealing that Mr. Irvin had previously strayed. In a twist of justifications, she argued that since he had cheated on her first, it was only fair for her to respond in kind. Revenge sex, she claimed, trying to downplay the significance of her actions by insisting it was merely a one-night stand.
Yes. If Mr. Irvin had never looked at the phone, if something didn't tell him to look at that phone, would you have told him about the cheating?
Yes, I was gonna come clean to him at the right time because we was already going through.
When was the right time?
Because he came to me when he had told me he cheated, and I would feel like I should come to him because I cheated.
Tensions escalated when Mr. Irvin brought up an incident involving an allegedly doctored ultrasound result. He and his sister Jada believed that Ms. Funzie had manipulated the evidence to fit her story, a claim she staunchly refuted, further heightening the courtroom drama.
I wanted to see how many weeks she was, and when she came out with the paper, I couldn't understand the number of how many weeks she was. I didn't know if she was pregnant by me or someone else, so I just let it go.
Because you were concerned about the date.
Yes.
But it should have been on the paperwork.
In an attempt to solidify her case, Ms. Funzie presented a photograph of their children, highlighting their shared physical trait of knock knees and asserting that this should prove their biological connection. She thought this visual evidence would strengthen her position.
You feel like they got the same knock knees. Oh, they're okay. All the other kids, they say they all got the same knees and the same body shape, and you say Joakim got the same thing.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you believe these knock knees are hereditary and the body shape.
However, the court had other plans. To uncover the truth, they called in a medical expert who explained that it was challenging to definitively determine biological relationships based on the presence of knock knees at such a young age. This revelation landed a significant blow to Ms. Funzie's argument.
Believe this minor child carries that trait.
I would say, my expert opinion, it would be very difficult to determine this at this age.
Okay.
Knowing that the variants happen in children less than 6 years old.
So, Ms. Funzie, as you listen to Dr. Richardson's testimony,
the shock in the courtroom was palpable. Despite this finding, Ms. Funzie clung tightly to her belief that the children were undeniably Mr. Irvin's.
Your belief?
Y'all understand what he's talking about, but it's still, they all have knock knees.
Have you ever told this other man that he...
The situation took a dramatic turn when a message from the man with whom Ms. Funzie had cheated surfaced in court. Without holding back, he disclosed their intimate encounters on multiple occasions, leaving Ms. Funzie stunned and the courtroom buzzing with disbelief.
We kept sleeping with each other 3 to 4 times after that with no This was between the months of October 2017 and November 2017. Ms. Funzie?
Eventually, she reluctantly acknowledged the truth of his claims, admitting that the infidelity was not limited to a single instance, causing the dynamics of the case to shift yet again.
I'm sorry?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, it was more than one time, or it was a one-night stand?
It was more than one time.
You go get it.
You lied. You lied to me.
Listen.
As the court prepared to announce the results, Mr. Irvin offered a flicker of hope, stating he would accept the child as his own if the DNA test confirmed it. This statement brought a brief moment of calm to the tense room, suggesting a potential path toward reconciliation. Nevertheless, he made it clear that if the child turned out not to be his, It would spell the end of their relationship.
And if he is not?
If he's not, I'm gonna be done with this relationship for good.
I'm ready to get the result. Jerome, these results were prepared by DNA diagnostics.
With the tension building once more, the room buzzed with anticipation, setting the stage for a decisive moment in their fraught relationship. Would they emerge together, or was this the beginning of their end? Let's find out.
Mr. Irvin, or Mr. Winfield, is the father of 1-month-old Joaquim Irvin. It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Winfield.
I knew it, I told you. I knew it wasn't his baby. When I went to the hospital and seen that baby, she knew it wasn't. A mother know they child. A mother know they child.
Next on our list is the dramatic case of Miller versus Rasmussen. In this case, Miss Miller took Mr. Rasmussen to court, suing him over the paternity of their 3-year-old daughter, Zaylee. Tensions were already high, but things took a turn when Mr. Rasmussen dropped a shocking revelation. He claimed that the only reason Miss Miller was denying his paternity was because she harbored a deep hatred for him.
The real reason Miss Miller is denying your Zaylee's father is because she hates you.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say you've been there for your daughter her entire life, and you're here today to prove you are Zaylee's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Rasmussen, why is Ms. Miller saying you're not Zaylee's father?
This was an alarming accusation, and Judge Lauren quickly delved into the details to get to the bottom of the matter. During further questioning, another jaw-dropping twist emerged. It was revealed that at one point in their rocky relationship, Mr. Rasmussen had actually cheated on Miss Miller. Holy moly. Talk about a bombshell. It was the kind of revelation no one saw coming, especially because Mr. Rasmussen didn't seem like the type to stray. His appearance was unassuming, and he had presented himself as a devoted father.
When things got rocky, I'll admit it, I did go to another woman. I'll be the first to admit that. You know, it was my mistake.
Is that true, Miss Miller?
No.
It's not?
No.
Tell me
not,
what
no.
you believe to be true in this situation.
Yes, I was very mad at him for being a cheater. He cheated on me through pretty much our whole relationship.
In fact, Mr. Rasmussen went to great lengths to be in his child's life, driving a whopping 160 miles just to see baby Zaylee. Despite his commitment as a father, it became clear that their relationship was far from perfect.
I'm paying my child support. I have my child support payments right here, plus an additional $3 fee, plus an additional $60 annual fee just to pay my child support.
You pay $50 a week.
Just under $50 a week, plus that $3 with every check, plus another $60 every year to the state.
Both parties had their own skeletons in the closet. It was revealed that their time together, though brief, had been filled with issues that extended far beyond typical disagreements.
I want my visitation because my daughter means the world to me. I want to be in her life as much as I possibly can.
I mean, if he's driving 160 miles each way every other weekend, the money he would get in his taxes, he's spending in gas.
But the surprises didn't stop there. As Judge Lauren continued to dig deeper into the situation, it came out that while Miss Miller was sleeping with other men during their relationship, Mr. Rasmussen also had his fair share of women on the side. Even with all the infidelity, Mr. Rasmussen remained a devoted father, always fulfilling his responsibilities to Zaylee. Shocking, right? Especially in a world where so many men choose to abandon their responsibilities, he stood out.
You pay $50 a week.
Just under $50 a week, plus that $3 with every check, plus another $60 every year to the state.
And that's not very much to get what she needs.
Is it enough to buy her clothes so she doesn't have to wear cut-off sweatpants and the same t-shirt every time I pick her up?
I do that because I don't want. Is
it enough money to buy her underwear so you don't got to keep putting her in diapers at 4 years old?
I have underwear for her.
Judge Lauren's frustration grew as more details emerged, and it reached its peak when it was revealed that Miss Miller hadn't even informed her ex-boyfriend that Zaylee might not be his child until a full 6 months after the baby was born. Understandably, this revelation enraged the judge, and she made her feelings abundantly clear.
What about just telling him? I want to understand that. Why was it that you were keeping this information so close to your hip until 5-6 months after Zaylee was born?
The more she grew up.
The tension in the courtroom reached a boiling point when the paternity results were announced. Instead of reacting with humility or gratitude, Miss Miller did the unthinkable. She cheered at the news. This blatant display of insensitivity pushed Judge Lauren over the edge. In a fierce rebuke, she lashed out at Miss Miller for her celebration, reminding her that the results meant no one wanted anything to do with her or the child.
You just showed me where your priorities were right there.
I'm sorry.
Because I held out hope that you weren't just acting a fool because you so mad at him because he cheated on you that you would cheat your child out of a father. But that cheering you did? What you cheering?
The entire courtroom went silent. You could hear a pin drop as Judge Lauren unleashed her full anger on the mother who seemed to believe she had the right to do whatever she pleased with her child's future. The irritation on Judge Lauren's face was visible to the blind as she admonished Miss Miller for her lack of remorse. Miss Miller's nonchalant attitude and her complete disregard for Mr. Rasmussen's feelings had already grated on the judge's nerves, and this latest outburst pushed her past the point of no return.
I sit here day after day after day with women hoping a man would drive 16 miles to see their baby, much less 160 miles each way, and abide by a court order and sign a birth certificate and come day after day and week after week so they can grow visitation to have a relationship with the child.
So, with all the twists, turns, and drama, the moment of truth finally arrived. What could the paternity results possibly reveal? Let's find out.
Mr. Rasmussen, you are not the father. Miss Miller.
Be respectful.
I'm sorry.
Miss Miller.
I'm sorry.
That's a lot of nerve considering the alternative is somebody that don't want nothing to do with you or your child.
I'm sorry.
That's a lot of nerve.